The War on Africa's Economic Development by Feminism and Non-Governmental Organizations known as NGOs. Now that all of African countries are independent from European colonial rule, Western countries have decided to wage another battle, the war on African families and economic development, by promoting a Western-style feminism and NGOs that are bent on socially engineering us into more poverty. No country in the world has ever achieved economic development through feminism. Yet if you look at the agenda of a lot of the NGOs operating in Africa, that's all they're talking about. Women in Africa certainly need empowerment, but empowerment is not feminism. These are issues that need to be addressed. However, the push for feminism in Africa is taking on a dangerous bent that will leave us poorer and more socially dysfunctional. What is feminism? Feminism is often described as synonymous with women's empowerment, but it is not. If you read the goals of feminism as described by its founders, you will soon discover a sinister campaign that seeks to undermine our societal values. All scientific studies about parental involvement conclude that children who are raised by a mother and a father in a household will ultimately be more productive and well-adjusted citizens as adults. However, the Western-style feminist approach seeks to dismantle the family structure and wage war on men. You will see from the definitions of some of the early feminists what they actually believed about feminism and the family. Robin Morgan, founder of and member of Which, a magazine and editor of the international feminist movement, says we can't destroy the inequities between men and women until we destroy marriage. Again, she said, I feel that man-hating is an honorable and viable political act, that the oppressed have a right to class hatred against a class that is oppressing them. Again, when you read the writings of feminists like Linda Gordon, she says, the nuclear family must be destroyed. Whatever its ultimate meaning, the breakup of families now is an objectively revolutionary process. Other feminists, like Sheila Cronin, says since marriage constitutes slavery for women, it is clear that the women's movement must concentrate on attacking this institution. Freedom for women cannot be won without abolition of marriage. In essence, the feminist movement wants to empower women by encouraging them to do all without men and in the end to have children out of wedlock. Yet all research shows that children born out of wedlock, living in single-parent households, are more disadvantaged. In coming to Africa, many of these NGOs that are promoting feminism are hoping to achieve the results they have in the African American community in the United States. In America, since 1970, the United States legalized abortion and dramatically increased the availability of contraception, which gave women the tools to control their numbers. It was a welcome development at that time. However, 25 years after, there have been huge increases in the number of single-parent families headed by unmarried mothers. It is significantly more prevalent among African Americans. In 1965, 24% of black infants and 3.1% of white infants were born to single mothers. By 1990, the rates had risen to 64% for black infants and 18% for whites. In 2017, 67% of African American children do not live in the same household as their fathers. Every year, about 1 million more children in the U.S. are born to fatherless families. Research shows that the odds of living in poverty are higher for children who live in single-parent homes. So how will feminism actually help us move towards economic development? This new brand of feminism which NGOs are promoting is not emancipation. It is disastrous, a very disastrous ideology that has failed to achieve equality in the United States. This hardcore liberal dysfunctional ideology under the banner of feminism is detrimental to African women and to African families. Africa is rising, but it cannot become a global powerhouse without human capital. And human capital is squandered every day by a feminist agenda pushing population control through abortion rights and feminism.